Hi everyone, welcome to the Great Outdoors Tournament. This tournament took place about a week ago. We just started another tournament today actually, so I need to get this video out, otherwise it'll be lost. It'll be recorded over top of it, so let's get this started. My notes are about a week old, so I'm not even quite sure. Could be a little bit mixed up here, but we'll see what we can do. And the thing is, they fixed the replays on this. I'm not sure if they fixed the previous replays that were done during this tournament, but they just updated Golf Clash to better the replays, so we should have some better content to go over my shots. That'll be helpful when I try to explain things. So let's get started here. On this first hole, I believe it's played at 20%. But you don't have to worry about that, because all I'm doing here is driving it down as far as I can go. I chose a big topper because it's good for distance, especially if you're using a Power 1 ball like I'm using here. If you're using an extra mile, you might want to use a Power 2 or a Power 3 ball, although I can still get pretty much the same results with my extra mile that I do with my big topper. The big topper might be 5 or 10 yards further. But as you can see, I'm not quite full over power here. I'm about 80 or 90%. I figured I'd back off a little bit with this Power 1 ball, and it's still plenty enough to get us down there to where we need, just past the trees. And I find this shot to be better than the left-hand side of the fairway. If you take a look at this video again, you can see the left-hand side of this fairway. And if you're going that particular way, there's a little opening inside the trees there. And what you're trying to do is hit the rough and have it roll through the rough onto the fairway there, and then take your shot from there. And if you decide to go that way, what I would do with the second shot is go with a rough bump onto the grass with about 3.5 or so topspin and 10% elevation. But for this particular shot, you don't have to worry about any elevation. I never really went the left-hand side because I find it a little bit risky going in between the trees. You know, if you hit a great shot, the ball might move off to the left or right and hit a tree or something, so you can find yourself in trouble. There's less risk to this particular shot, just driving it down there as far as you can. Give it about 1 bar right spin. And if you want, mark down your yardage. Then you know for your second shot, if your second shot's going to be a mid-distance long iron or a minimum distance long iron or a maximum distance long iron, you won't have to check it out all the time for your second shot. That's if you mark down your yardage and you play it that way every time. So on this particular shot, I'm not quite sure where I went. I believe it's roughly around the 400 yard mark. And if it is, what I do is I go with minimum distance with a long iron plus 2. So you'll see what I'm talking about here. What do we have? There you go. You'll see your yardage come up. 396. So that's close to a minimum range, I believe, on the long iron. So you can choose a long iron of your choice. You can use a Goliath. You can use a Saturn, or you can use a Backbone, which I tend to use because it's got a higher accuracy. Now you can see I'm checking out the distance here. It's close to mid-range, but I believe it's still minimum plus a couple yards. And what we did here is we went with about 4.5 backspin. And if you look at the white part of my target, you can see it's just before the fringe there. You can see how much green grass there is actually between the white part. This will give you an idea of how far to set your target. Because if you move that target up too close, you'll have too much speed and it'll roll past the hole. On this particular shot, we hit great. Of course, you have to hit perfect if you want to get it in. I did that quite a few times on this shot. So, like I said, line this up so that the top part of that target, you can see what I'm doing. Top part of the target with a little bit of grass left over and about 4.5 backspin, roughly. This shot works perfect. And you can see the tip of my ball guide there. I'm kind of leaning towards the left part of the flag, just by a hair, and I find that works the best on this particular shot. So just be aware of what your ball guide's doing, and that'll set you up. This particular shot is played at plus 10% as well. And there's nothing more I can tell you about this hole. Just make sure you hit perfect there. You'll get an eagle. Otherwise, it's an easy birdie. Thanks for watching hole 1. We'll see you on hole 2.